Marijuana has been in the news a lot lately, with more states legalizing it for medical reasons. Well, it may leave you wondering, what are the laws in Kansas and Missouri? Well, here to explain is attorney Tristen with Jungle Law Group. So first up, if people buy anything in Colorado, a neighbor that does have it legal for certain purposes, and bring it across the state line, will they face criminal charges?
Yes, they will face criminal charges, contrary to what they believe. So say you get somebody who purchased marijuana or synthetics or gummies in Colorado and decide, hey, you know what, I got a card, or it's legal here, can I drive it over to Missouri or to Kansas? Unfortunately, you cannot.
Okay, so this is your public service announcement. Just because it's legal someplace else does not mean it's here.
Yes, because it's legal somewhere else, you cannot bring it across state lines and think it's illegal here. Okay, so you don't want to do that, because you could face misdemeanor, felony charges, and it's just, the laws are becoming more progressive. It's eventually going to be okay in Missouri and Kansas, but as of now, that option is not available.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense, and thank you for clearing that up for anybody who may have been wondering. What amount of marijuana would actually result in a felony, and then what would be considered like a misdemeanor?
Well, Kansas and Missouri have different laws, but predominantly 35 grams or less is basically charged a misdemeanor. So 35 grams or more would be a felony. You can get a distribution charge on top of that if it's an amount of like 100 grams or more. But Missouri's a little bit more progressive than the state of Kansas. Kansas a little bit harsher laws. So a lot of times if you're carrying some stuff from Colorado over to Missouri and you get caught off I-70, like I do a lot of work in Saline and Cooper County on the way to St. Louis. So those counties are seeing a lot of that, because it's the drug corridor from St. Louis to other states. And you can get charged with a felony, but a lot of times we're getting that dropped down to a misdemeanor, and a steep fine is what we're hopeful to get. Can't guarantee that result, but that's what we're trying to do, because a lot of the prosecutors are young, they're progressive, they understand, they grew up in their marijuana culture, other than the other elderly prosecutors are still frown upon that.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense. If you are in possession of something like, let's say, a friend and family member, maybe they did have a prescription, maybe from another state, can you still be charged for that?
Yes, you can be charged with that. Say you got a prescription for Xanax or something along those lines, Percocet, and the person's not in the car, but you have a prescription that they left in there. You could be charged with that. Yes, and that's a felony. So that's a little bit harsher penalty with that, okay? Because that's something you don't want to mess with, and those are difficult. I mean, you can argue, hey, it was my family's, but you're going to be charged. You're going to be run around the ringer on that.
Okay, so even if you had people staying in your home, that would put you at risk.
That would put you at risk. Now, the home would be different, because you got to do the Fourth Amendment. You got to go through a constitutional attack with that. And if they come in your home and the client and your friend and stuff were there, well, obviously that would be their drug. However, if they're not there and they do not live in the home, that could be looked at as hey, that's your drug, even though you're saying it's somebody else's. At the end of the day, you're going to be charged, and then we got to go pick a fight with the prosecutor and the judge.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that
works. Well, thank you for clearing that up. Now, let's also talk about, let's say you did get convicted of a felony in Missouri or Kansas. How is that going to impact your future? Would it be on your permanent record?
Well, it depends. So Missouri and Kansas are very different. Kansas has a diversion process, and Missouri has an SIS, which means a suspended imposition of sentence. So they're basically the same terminology. However, they differ. When you go into Kansas, you get like a pretrial services, other than Missouri typically. So say you get a possession charge of marijuana, escalates to a felony, you're going to be on pretrial services, which means that you have to do a lot of things prior to me even being able to talk to the prosecutor, prior to us even be able to do a plea or do anything. You got to do a lot of work leading up to that to try to maybe possibly get that felony dropped to a misdemeanor. Now, will that go on your record? It depends. A lot of employers are becoming smart now, and they're saying, have you ever been arrested? You need to disclose if you've ever been arrested. Now, 5-10 years ago, it was just, have you been convicted? So a lot of people are like, I haven't been convicted because I received a diversion or I received an SIS. So, I mean, what is my opinion about that? Honesty is always the best policy, but if they don't ask, don't disclose it, okay? Less is more in this field, with everything in the legal field. Do not speak unless you're directly asked that question, is kind of how I tell my clients.
Tristen, great advice there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
Now, if you would like to contact the Jungle Law Group for more information, just call 1-833-4JUNGLE or go online to junglelaw.com.